Hi, this is our book talk. I have an outrageously big mouth. But anyways, my book was by Tom Clancy, and it's called Ghost Recon Combat Ops. Logan's book was The Flies by Jean-Paul Sartre.
The protagonist of this book was Orestes. He was born in Argos. This was his birthplace. His strengths rely in that he knows that the gods do not actually have control of him, and they run strictly on intimidation. In this book, his main goal is to avenge his father's death and stop everyone from being controlled by the gods and show everyone that they are actually free. The antagonist of this book was Jupiter. He's the king of the gods. The other gods run the towns strictly through intimidation. The reason why the protagonist is so strong is because Jupiter has no control over those who know that he is not in control of them. Another key character in this book was Idiot Boy. He did not play a big role, but had a key idea in this book. In the beginning of the book, the flies come down and are just picking things out of his ears, and it's just letting them do what they want. This is key because it shows that he is willing to let anything do what they want to him, like the rest of society. This book uses indirect characterization. In the text, they never say what a character is actually like, but through quotation and through dialogue, they outline what a character is like. The setting is in Argos, Greece, probably around 12th or 13th century before Christ. The rising action is a Dead Man's Day ceremony. Dead Man's Day ceremony is when all the citizens are attacked by the dead because of their sins. The dead come back and haunt them for a full day. The reason why this is the rising action is because his sister Electra, who she does not know it is her brother yet, tries to stop the people from being scared and starts to dance. When everyone abandons the place because they're scared of the dead, she stays and says she's waiting for her brother. He then reveals that he is her brother. Orestes never actually fights with himself or with his mind, but he has to battle other gods and physically fight them. My favorite scene was in the very beginning with Idiot Boy. I thought it was funny how the birds were picking things out of the air and he wasn't doing anything. What I do not like about this book is that the book was transferred from an old play, so all the words were very old and I found myself on dictionary.com almost every page. Even though the author used big words, once you realized what the words meant, it created a perfect mental picture in your mind and you could picture what was actually happening. The title of this book was The Flies. It was called this because in the very beginning of the books, the gods say that flies were sent down to torture the citizens because of their sins and their disobeying the gods. A literary device used in this novel was simile. In the beginning of the book, the gods were yelling at Orestes, the protagonist, in saying that he was as timid as a mouse.
The protagonist of this book was Captain Scott Mitchell, and he's an army captain, and he is really laid back, but when it comes to war, he's really serious. The antagonist. The antagonist of the book was Mullah Muhammad Zahed, and he's one of the leaders of the Taliban, and the mission of Captain Mitchell's team is to take out Zahed. Some other characters was, for example, Doug Treehorn. He's a sniper, but he was also very smart, so they relied on him for gut feelings. This book is direct because they say that they don't like Zahed, and they say it to his face when they finally find him. The setting is in modern-day Afghanistan. The rising action is when they finally figure out where Zahed is hiding. The conflicts were all external because they weren't battling inner feelings. They were more battling like shooting at each other. So the climax of the book is when they find Zahed in the complex, and Captain Scott Mitchell actually kills Zahed as he's trying to get away in his getaway car. Alright, so my favorite scene in the book is when they're raiding caves and they find a man asleep, and Captain Mitchell's whole team, including Doug Treehorn, doesn't want to kill the man because he's so defenseless, but Captain Mitchell said their mission was to clear out anyone in their way.
Alright.
I really liked the book, but I would have changed that there should have been a little more action, because if there was a little more action, I think it would have kept me on the edge of my seat. But what I really liked was the ability that he could paint a picture in my head so I could actually see it from the perspective of Captain Mitchell or Doug Treehorn the sniper. The significance of the title Ghost Recon is pretty self-explanatory, because they're not supposed to be, people aren't supposed to know that they're there, and so the fact that if they keep themselves hidden, technically they're being ghosts, so that's why it's called Ghost Recon. My favorite, one of the examples of a literary device used in the novel was when Private Ramirez was listening to some Afghani radio and some American blues comes on, and that reminds him of his father playing blues to him when he was a child. That concludes our book talk.